Welcome everyone to another episode of Quick Reviews. Today I am going to review three books of what I thought was an excellent comic book week last week. So first off, I'll be reviewing Batman Superman number 11, Forever Evil number 7, and Justice League number 30. But before we get down to the reviews, I would like to congratulate once again Davidus Racunus for winning my contest. So, get in touch with me as soon as possible so I could get your address and send you the prizes. So, on to the reviews. But before I get into the books that I want to talk about, I want to talk a little bit about the week before, um, part two of the Doomsday of the Doomed story, which is in Wonder Woman number 8, Superman Wonder Woman number 8. Um, and as I said, now I found this issue a bit kind of slow on the for the overall story, uh, but I did like a lot of the introductions there. But last week, I think it was last week, yeah, somewhere in the weekend somewhere. I went to the Superman homepage. Now, the Superman homepage is like one of the best Superman fan pages out there. They've got news, they've got reviews. They're part of a whole uh, Superman network of podcasts, and it's got amazing stuff there. So if you want to know anything about Superman, they've got pretty much everything covered. So, anyways, I was reading the review for Superman Wonder Woman number 8, and it was a negative review. But, and don't usually like to talk too much about, stuff that goes on the net, and reviews, especially negative reviews. I usually don't agree with their reviews. But this one caught my attention because it made some very interesting points about this issue that I really didn't notice much about when I read it originally. But really good points that they made. You should really check it out. There is one point though that I don't know. I mean, it's a little bit controversial there. I don't want to get too much into detail into that one, but you should really check out the review. Should be archived somewhere. But cause that was like last week. So, anyways, I'll put the link down to that website. And you should check out the entire page, and you should check out the review because I found it very interesting. What they had to say about this issue in particular and the whole series in general. Um, so, okay, now that's done, let's get on to these last week's books. First up, Batman Superman number 11. Um, it's got good points and bad points for me. In the bad points for me is this first off, this recap page. I find it kind of lazy that you have to do the recapping of everything that's gone before. Uh, and you know they do have there are narrative ways to just get you into the story without anyone just starting with this first page. So that's very Marvel like, I guess. I know a lot of indies do it as well, that they have a little recap in the inside front cover, but you don't really have to read it. It's like little but having this sort of page sort of honestly I find it kind of lazy, uh, because then it shows that maybe they don't want to you know tell the events of the story as it goes along through that story. But that's just me. I know a lot of people might actually like it. The other thing I found really bad about this issue is that there's one plot point, one story point that happened off panel. So we are told uh, that Superman, as this doomsday creature, went through Metropolis and created a havoc and destruction, and then you know, turned himself in to Lex Luthor and the military, and have various experts checking him out to see how he's developing, and trying to help him, I suppose. But you get all this, you have it mentioned again, somewhat in the in this first page, and it's sort of like, really, I mean, something major happened, and we're just being told about it. uh I'm the first person to you know not support the whole idea of show and not and don't tell sort of thing, where that was something that, for example, a lot of reviewers complained in Kurt Busiek's run, where they said it's a comic book show, don't tell. And you know, I'm really against that for the most part, because sometimes just showing sort of waste pages that could you know be added, could be used to tell the story better. And Kurt Busiek, for example, being an old school writer, he just does much more compressed storytelling. So I always thought that when everybody said, show don't tell, thinking like you'll be wasting time, pages, and um, and on the one hand, you'll be wasting pages, and some creators will say, oh, it's just full of fluff, not real stuff, just endless pages of needless action or whatever. So I prefer the whole compressed thing. But in this case, for this story, I think it was necessary that we actually see this, because the way Superman Wonder Woman ended, the story ended with Superman being pretty much back to himself, and then we get this part where Superman actually went on a rampage in Metropolis and finally turned himself in, and like, what the hell did that happen? We're not showing that. So I hope we actually get some sort of flashback or something, because I wouldn't want to have this story sort of move in a different place, where you have the story in the issue itself, but events happening off panel. And that's the most annoying part of it for me, the bad part. But the good part though is I really like the overall story in this issue. It's a nicely done in one, in a sense. It's a nice little adventure into the Phantom Zone. So that's always cool, because we heard about the Phantom Zone, but we really, it's always interesting going in there and seeing what's inside. Uh, because other prisons in the DC, a lot more about them. Like Arkham Asylum, a lot about it. It's being a major focus on the Bat books. The Phantom Zone, it's hardly ever explored, and I really like that. Um, so it's Batman, Wonder Woman, and Crypto going into the Phantom Zone, still is there, but he hasn't gone. He is left behind, to mind the store, and he being the only person that has some sort of know how to use the machines, to close the zone in case you know some criminals try to escape. So we see Mongol, we see Nun, you know, this is the first New 52 appearance of Nun. If you've watched the Superman movies, the original, you know who Nun is. Big guy, doesn't say much. Like I said, this is the first New 52 appearance because before the New 52, after Infinite Crisis, Geoff Johns with Richard Donner, the director from the original movies, co-wrote, I believe, two arcs of Action Comics. The first one being Last Sun, which I believe began around 844, 845, actually 844 or 845, where a lot of the Donner film stuff got introduced, including, Ursa and Nun, uh, Ursa being based on the villain Feora, who finally returned to the movies as Feora and in the comics. But Nun in the pre 52, he was pretty much like his movie version, except that in his backstory he actually was a scientist who the Science Council, who the ruling council lobotomized when he sided with Jor-El due to Jor-El telling them Krypton is doomed. He was working with Zod. They didn't like that. The council pretty much lobotomized him, made him into a big brute. But this Nun actually talks, and I really like his look. He's very much like he's appeared before. Not very good images, but now here we go. Um, right here. Um, that's not. He actually talks, and this time he's now pretty much a villain. It also marks the return of the Phantom King, Zadu, Doctor Zadu, or Zadu as he was known. Uh, it's actually based on an old Silver Age villain called Doctor Zadu. The New 52 version originally appeared in Action Comics number 5. Small cameo, actually, that he got here. His backstory it can be found in Action Comics number 13, which is a great book, especially the backup with Crypto. In fact, in this issue, Crypto is free from the Phantom Zone because before Krypton exploded, Crypto got trapped into the Phantom Zone protecting Jor and Lara. When they were trying to escape into the Phantom Zone to uh, avoid being destroyed, to save themselves from the destruction of Krypton, but the projector got broken. The villains were escaping, and you know Crypto got in there and protected them, and Superman freed him in this issue. Um, so, anyways, so they find out that Zadu actually helped the Harrow, not only giving their ghost soldiers ghost powers, but in freeing um, Doomsday. Plus, they actually discovered that whatever was happening, the Phantom Zone's kind of crazy, going kind of nutty. Um, so, so it's sort of going to some sort of like self-destruction or something like that. In fact, there's this machine where the Zadu is doing something, trying to. This is where apparently Doomsday, was used to get out. Used the machine that allowed Doomsday to escape. Finally, we end with Batman and Wonder Woman and the Ghost Soldier, subduing the Phantom King, and because he seems to know a lot about what's going on, and he's definitely becoming a major player in this story. But like I say, I really enjoyed it. You get a nice full story. Anyways, moving on. Um, Forever Evil and number 7 and Justice League number 30. Okay. Forever Evil number 7. Finally, this event concludes, but it's not a clean ending. Knowing Jeff Jones, he's setting up, the next upcoming event. Uh, Everybody's read it. I enjoyed it. Um, it is Luthor's story in the end. He does defeat the villains, the Scream Syndicate. But like I said, some threats obviously, will be explored in the near future. Starting with Justice League number 30. And on, major things happen obviously. First off, Luthor discovers that Bruce Wayne is Batman, which phase out. The other thing, and this is like the setup for like the next event, we had an F-52 version of the Anti-Monitor. So obviously I'm curious, but this definitely will be like the next big event, in the near future, or at least in a year's time. Um, so I don't know if I'll be picking that up. I mean, I'm tired of events, you know, since Christ and Infinite Earths, we've been getting like event after event every summer, and you know, I just wish that we just didn't have, we had an event-free comic book industry. You know, I would love to go back, to the way comics were back, maybe 40, 50 years ago, where, you just got good stories and nothing earth-shakingly major. Like I said, I liked it. I mean, it's an extra 48-page book. Not much to say. Just glad it's over, and but obviously, setting up for the next event. I also like the way Luthor seems to turn a new leaf. Apparently, his change is genuine, which is interesting. Reminds me a bit of the Bronze Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age Luthor, who, yeah, he was kind of like egotistical, but always had, the potential to be good. In fact, back in the old Silver Age, he actually was considered a hero in a planet, Luxor. Luxor? Luxor. You know, uh, so there was always this potential for Luther to being good. I never really felt he was played like that before. Except the fact like if Superman wasn't here, I would cure cancer and whatever. Here you kind of get to see that there is some good in Luthor, um, and um, the best way to put it though is he's still doing it for his own reasons, but uh, what he lived through in Forever Evil a major event, doing something good, saving the world. That kind of changed him quite a bit. And of course, this is followed up in in this issue of Justice League. I wasn't very happy actually when I heard Luthor was coming into the Justice League along with Captain Cold, because I dislike Luthor a lot, especially the way he's been written by Jeff Johns. I never really liked his Luthor too much. I liked him when he showed up from time to time, but being there constantly, it does get kind of tiring. But I was pleasantly surprised by this issue. Again, Luther is still it's still a man who is so self-centered and so much about the ego. But instead of doing something bad, I think he's trying to not do it in a much more constructive way. Um, he definitely feels. I mean, he wants to join the Justice League just because of his ego. Like he is entitled to be a part of the league just because of having saved the world. Uh, so, like I said, his terrorism is still very much motivated by what motivates Luthor, some sort of like entitlement. But I find it very intriguing if this sort of good guy attitude's gonna continue, or if he's gonna go back to being the same old Luthor. So I'm very interested in this. Of course, the Justice League isn't very happy about what Luthor is doing. Superman, of course, even though he saved his life, at the end of Forever Evil, taking that piece of kryptonite from his head, uh, Superman still suspects him quite a bit. He doesn't really trust Luthor or his motivations. Um, so again, I'm very curious to see where this is all going. Uh, and of course, the final page, which I felt it was kind of repetitive. You know, the fact that in Forever Evil he finds out you know like Bruce Wayne is Batman, and then at the end of of the issue he goes to Wayne Manor and actually asks for Batman. So again, that's intriguing because he wants to be good, but he still likes Luthor. He still has some sort of ulterior motive. Um, you know, and I don't think it was too difficult for anyone to put two and two together if people know that Bruce Wayne, took in Dick Grayson, and then his identity was revealed early on in Forever Evil. Um, that Dick Grayson is was Nightwing or is Nightwing. Uh, I mean, it was pretty easy to add two and two, so it didn't take any brilliance to go to that deduction if you just dig into a little bit. But no, that's interesting. But I did feel it was like too repetitive. Like we know Lex Luthor discovered Batman, that that Bruce Wayne is Batman, and then getting into the ending of Justice League number 30 to get pretty much the same revelation. So I did feel a little bit, oh, I don't think it worked that well. It just seemed a little bit too repetitive to actually have the revelation come out twice. Because unless you didn't read Forever Evil, I guess it would have made sense just as well to have that Justice League number 30 just stand on its own without having to read a large portion. Without, if you read Justice League but you didn't read Forever Evil number 7, which I would find very hard to believe. The revelation itself seems a little, you know, I mean, it feels right, but it's just like I don't think anybody read Justice League without having read Forever Evil #7. So, though going to the like people that missed out on this, maybe 10 years for 3 years from now, so it's looking Justice League, and that might have made sense. I don't know, but it was a little bit repetitive there. Anyways, that's it for my quick reviews for this time around. I might actually do another one next week, though, talking about Superman #31. Um, just to see how these events or non-event or how the event is going. But if there's any development into this whole revelation of this unseen event with Superman, this rampage and this capture, but I don't have very high hopes for that revelation to or for that scene to show up. So kind of sucks because it does feel like you missed something. So, anyways, I will also try to put on my blog a review of this issue of Supergirl #31 because there are a few things I would love to talk about that book, and it would take quite a bit of time. So I'll be doing a review there. Also visit the blog um, because my last post was a little sort of fan thing about what the DC and Warner Brothers should do with the whole Justice League thing. Uh, how they could maximize other assets or other resources to make a really great Justice League movie. Do the same thing that Marvel did, but much quicker and I think even much better. To get to the Avengers, they did a whole bunch of movies, focusing on the specific heroes that would show up in the Avengers movie. Uh, with Batman v Superman uh, movie that's coming out, you know, what in 2 years, and then followed by the Justice League movie. Uh, I mean, we'll probably have Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. That's a given. Cyborg, I believe, also shows up. But you need to add a few other heroes, and I think you know DC has a really great advantage. DC Warner Brothers has a really great advantage over Marvel. That the fact that they have two TV shows, Arrow and the upcoming Flash, that could be used as well to expand on the movies or on the Justice League movie. So check that one out as well. And it's almost 30 minutes here, so I'll sign out saying until next time, keep smiling.